Shalom, shalom, Israel, shalom. His brother Uriah want to give all honor and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, Bahashima Mashiach, Malak Yahushua. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty brothers that go out there and labor on the highways and byways, making their body living sacrifice. In the rain, the tumults, the demons, the uprises, the uproars, they're out there standing 10 toes down for the name of the Lord. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty brothers that are not out there as of yet, but they're building themselves up, reading, praying, fasting, right? Being diligent, taking notes, being steadfast, doing everything they could do to put themselves in a position to shake the hand and wake up the hopeful elect. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty aquaf in this thing, right? Obeying their husbands, right? Being teachers of good things to the children at home, being quiet, shamefaced, submissive, loving, steadfast, cooking, someone clean, and doing all of the righteous acts of our foremothers on fire for the Lord. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty aquaf that are not married as of yet, but building themselves up, reading, praying, and fasting, doing everything they can do to magnify the Most High in the ministry. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty children in this thing, abstaining from all lust, concupiscence, and peer pressure, standing 10 toes down for the name of the Lord. And last but not least, another strong shalom to the 12 tribes scattered abroad, reading, praying, fasting, making their body a living sacrifice. Right, this is going to be an in-depth breakdown on the book of Obadiah, the mighty book of Obadiah, right? An in-depth breakdown, right? So a lot of brothers that go inside of the book of Obadiah, right? It's a lot of stipulation around the nation and or people in the world. If this book already came to pass, what is this really for? Selling? Who are really the Edomites? You know, how do you dive into this book on a contextual level and a prophetic level, right? We're going to dive in through it through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Right? I believe I labeled this, the book of Obadiah, the bloody truth, right? So let's dive into it through the spirit, right? A happy new moon, right? For everybody keeping it through the spirit, right? We diving straight into it. Let's go to the mighty book, right, of Sirach, chapter 39. Let's go to the class. It's the mighty book of Sirach, chapter 39, and verse number 1. But he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High, and is occupied in the meditation thereof. See, a lot of people are occupied in things that they shouldn't be. Lust, right, concupiscence, all manner of foolishness and evil in the world. Where are they going to be in the next 12 years? What's going to happen, right? The Super Bowl and the NBA. People are meditating the wrong things. As a man thinketh, so is he. Thereof will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient and be occupied in prophecies. Right? Nahum is a book of prophecy. Habakkuk is a book of prophecy. Right? Obadiah is a book of prophecy. Revelation is a book of prophecy. Right? We have to go in these prophetic books, Isaiah, right? Daniel, Ezekiel, right? Jeremiah, and dive out in the last days. What are these precepts talking about? Did these things come to pass? Who is this ancient king? What's for it to happen on the last days upon the earth? Right, let's go to the mighty book of Obadiah. Right, it's the mighty book of Obadiah, 1 and 1. Right, and some scholars would say, right, the book of Obadiah was around 586, right, or so, right, but he was a contemporary during the time of Elisha, around the 8th century, right, but let's dive straight into it. It says the vision of Obadiah. So each prophet has a vision given to them solely from the Most High. Thus saith the Lord God concerning Edom. The Edomites are your so-called white people of today. For people that do not know, that are new to the channel and or learning in this truth. We have heard a rumor from the Lord. An ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. Let's go to the mighty book of Numbers. Because when the Most High speaks, he always speaks via the hand of the prophets, by visions, by trances, you understand, by the revelations. This is the book of Numbers, chapter 12, and verse number 6. And he said, hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, and this is how you really know who's a prophet and who's not. Just because you can read the book of Obadiah and foretell and see what's going to happen upon the earth doesn't mean that you're a prophet. You can read and understand prophecy. But what makes you a prophet is for the Lord to show you a vision, a trance, a dream, an apparition, something to foretell a future event that actually came to pass. That what makes you a prophet. It's a lot of brothers that are prophets on earth, a lot of sisters that are prophetess, that have seen the destruction of Babylon, that have witnessed the chariots, that have seen the fire and the brimstone, the cries, the yells, the tumults, right? And demons and the uprises and the uproars, right? And everything that is foretold in the scriptures, they have seen it in part, right? It says this: if there be a prophet among you, I, the Lord, will make myself known unto him in a vision, and will speak unto him in a dream. So our forefathers were tight knit with the Most High, and the Most High was foretelling the future, right, of the downfall of nations via the hand of our fathers. Right, let's go to the mighty book, right, of 2 Corinthians. Now, an ambassador is somebody to send out a message or be the forefront of something that's foretold as well. This is 2 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 20. Now then, we are ambassadors for Yahushua. So who's an ambassador? All of the mighty camps of the nation, they're ambassadors. Meaning what? You represent the Most High. Or you may see somebody that's the face of a company. You may see somebody that's the face, you understand, of a brand or whatever the case may be. They're the ambassador for that company. We're the ambassador of the Lord. You think the Most High is going to show his mighty face, man? His glorious apparel? Right, his beautiful strength and all? No, he sends forth Ezekiel. He sends forth Jeremiah. Right, he sends forth the mighty camps and the men that are on the earth today. It says, as though God did beseech you by us, we pray you in Yahweh's stead that ye be reconciled to Yahweh. So it says the vision of Obadiah, thus saith the Lord God. Now the Lord has many visions going into the destruction of Edom. In Isaiah, right, you can go to Isaiah, many of chapters going into the destruction of the so-called white man. But yet the Lord has chosen a vessel, Obadiah, to bear all of his judgment in one book, man. That's how deep it is that the Most High hates this nation. Right, let me get the classic real fast before we dive into it in the book of Malachi. Let's go to the mighty book of Malachi. Now, a lot of people say, well, I don't think the Lord hates, and well, you don't know the Most High God, man. The Most High God is fearful, right? Fury, right? He gets fear and dread upon him, right? The Lord is angry, right? The Lord is jealous, right? The Lord, right? He hates. The Lord has many, feelings and emotions just like you do through the Spirit, right? This is the book of Malachi chapter 1 and verse 2. I have loved you, saith the Lord, yet ye say, wherein have ye loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother? Saith the Lord, yet I loved Jacob, and I hated Esau, and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Right? Meaning what? He has solely created Esau to be a whooping stick for the children of Israel, right? To be a demon and a spirit to cause nothing but adversity and evil spirits upon the earth. He chops down the wood. He creates all type of smokes and chemicals in the air. He rapes, robs, and murders the earth. Right? This man was created to be the wicked. It says, and his heritage a waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Right? Meaning dragons, strets, and untype of doleful-like creatures and owls and foxes are going to dwell in his habitations, right, that are burned with fire. It says, whereof Edom said, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. And that actually happened, right, what people call the Dark Ages, right? The Dark Ages is when they were impoverished, where the Lord locked them down for over 1,000 years, right, while we ruled Europe, right, during the Dark Ages. It says, thus saith the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down. And they came back in the Renaissance, around the 14th century, right? They came back and they started to build. They had iconoclasm, right? They had all type of books and, right, their wars and all of their emblems and their men back on the earth. And they're rebuilding and shaping their name and their image. They shall build as far as their name back on the earth on one fold, but also buildings, architectural work, right? Streets, corners, businesses, right? All of even their countries. It says, I will build, right? I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness. Why the border? Because the border is the beginning of anything. The border is the beginning of this country. The border on our garments is the beginning or border of our whole shirt. So they're the beginning and the border of everything that's called wicked, man. It all traces back to or stems from or goes to Esau and the people whom the Lord, right, have indignation. Indignation means hatred forever. Now that's not just forever, right, during, right, 400 BC, during the time of Malachi. No, this is forever and ever during the time that we're living in right now, right? Let's go to the book of Obadiah, chapter 1 and verse 2. Behold, I made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. And the birth rate of the so-called white man is going down. His death rates, you understand? He's diminishing as a people. He's not flourishing and growing like other nations are upon the earth, right? And I want to get something real quick through the spirit, right? I got a lot of tabs pulled up, right? That we're going to dive into history and go into the accounts and actually show these things, man. Now it says, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. Meaning all the nations of the earth, they greatly despise America. America used to be the nation everybody wanted to come to. Everybody wanted to yield their increase into, right? Enjoy the fruits of America's labors and their wars and the different things and dwell within their borders in their different places and states. But now they're greatly despised. Russia hates America. You understand? Who else hates America? Right? North Korea, they hate America. You have a lot of allies, you understand, as well as enemies of the United States. And it's not just the United States. All nations hate Esau, man. All nations are starting to come up against the so-called white man. No matter if you're Russian, right, you're British, right, you're Italian, right, you're Dutch, or whoever you are, your variants in your branch under Esau's wicked tree that you come from, it greatly despised amongst all nations. It says, and let me get a quick precept on that. Let me get a quick precept. All right, let's go to the mighty book of Revelation. This is the mighty book of Revelation, chapter 17, and I'm gonna start. Matter of fact, I'll get the 18th chapter. That's what I want. It's the book of Revelation, chapter 18, and I'm gonna start at verse number 10. I'm gonna start at 9. And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her, meaning they did trade, right? They were an influence and or reaping the benefits of all America's trade and the things that America has with her weaponry, her brass, right? And all the things that build up America and or do trade with, shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, at last, alas, the great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. Right? So it's going to show you that everything that America could benefit from of other nations, people are going to say, well, that's no more going to exist no more. Right? America's went down. Right? All of her pride, all of her things that she had, it's all sunk down and been utterly destroyed. Right? So it says, the pride of thine heart have deceived thee. Now, the pride of the so-called white man is infinite. Right? He thinks he's God. He has a God complex. But I want to get a couple precepts through the spirit. Let's go to the mighty book of Daniel. I want to get this quick precept in Daniel. It's the book of Daniel, right? Chapter 11. And I'm going to get this quick precept. Bear with me. I'm going to start at 36. Right, it's the book of Daniel, chapter 11, verse 36. And the king shall do according to his will, and he shall exalt himself and magnify himself above every god. Now, who is this talking about? It's talking about the so-called white man. Why in the Holy Bible is it saying, and the king shall do according to his will, and he shall exalt himself? What man exalt himself? I thought the Most High exalts man. If you exalt yourself, that's prideful. That's arrogant. That's evil. You're making yourself upon a pedestal as if you are the Most High. And magnifies himself. How do you magnify himself? With parades, right? With Halloween, Easter, him being Saint Nicholas, him being Santa Claus, him being Caesar Borgias, which is so-called Jesus Christ upon the earth. He magnified himself in the TV, the movies. He's Spider-Man. He's Superman, right? He's the judge of the earth, right? Banging the gavel. He has magnified himself upon every god, right? And every god is really going into the God of his fathers that he excelled, that he doesn't respect anymore. It says, and shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods. What's the marvelous things he speaks against the Most High? I don't care about the Israelites. I would destroy the Lord's heritage. I'm the true God upon the earth. Who is the Most High? These are the things he boasts in his heart, as if the Most High is going to get up with him, or he's in a beholder, right, of every word that man thinks. It says, and shall prosper till indignation be accomplished. For that is determined shall be done. It says, neither shall he regard the God of his fathers. So just like us, we regard the God of our fathers. The God of our fathers is Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And we're going to regard the Holy One of Israel. The God of his fathers, right, is Zeus, Pallades, and all of these different Greek and Roman statues and gods that they look up to. He's not going to regard them, nor the desire of women. And that's in the Bible, man. That this man is a sodomite, a flaming sodomite that does idol worship. You have Alexander, the so-called Great, which is a man that actually existed, which is documented that this man was a sodomite. He used to dress with skirts, right, with leopard print and fight, and he had lovers. You understand? And that he got off with men so bad that he could conquer a woman easily, but he wanted the strength to wrestle and conquer a man and take him. Right? That was a thrill to him. It says, nor the desire of women, nor regard any God. So this man, as Obadiah is quoting, right, the pride of his heart have deceived him, man. Just because the Most High gave you, you understand, for a season and a moment of time, wealth, infinite land, you understand, and natural resources and gold and silver, right, gas, zinc, right, and brass, and all of these different things, doesn't mean that you are God. Just because Google exists, you have the opportunity to stick a microscope, right, tap phones, and gain all type of resources through all your alliances, does not mean you the Most High. Nor regard any God, for he shall magnify himself above all, man. What is above all? Right? That's above any man that walked the earth, and above any idol that men look at, right, of the heathen, and above all of that, the highest of the highest, man. Because you have the highest on the earth, right? Let me get a quick precept. Because they're known as the highest on the left-hand side. This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 5, verse 8. If thou seest the oppression of the poor, right, and the violent perverting judgment. And people get perverted all the time in judgment. People get robbed, slain, killed, unjustly falsified against, and judgment isn't executed. And justice of an providence, marvel not at the matter. For he that is higher than the highest regardeth. Who's higher than the highest? The Most High. So Esau is even known on the left-hand side as the high of the earth, the highest of the earth. This is on the left-hand side. Everything has a just balance. You have the sun, you have the moon. Righteousness, you have wicked. You have Cain, you have Abel. You have Jacob, you have Esau. You have the Most High God above all, and who tries to compare himself with that balance? Esau. It says the highest of the highest regardeth, and there be higher than they. So the highest of the earth would be your judges, right, your governors, but really your elite, right? All of these men, right, that falsify illegal laws, push it in the system of the judicial branch and all of these different branches, set up these puppets as presidents and rule over the earth. The Lord said, don't marvel, because there be higher than the highest that will regard it, man. Meaning the Most High. He's the true God and judge of the earth. So when it says, the pride of thy heart have deceived thee, let me get one more through the Spirit. Let's get the mighty book of Ezekiel, chapter 28. This is Ezekiel, chapter 28, and I'm going to start at verse number 1 through the Spirit. Right? This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 28, right? And I'm going to start at verse number 1, right? And it reads, it says, the word of the Lord came again unto me, saying, right, son of man, saying to the prince of Tyrus. Now, the prince of Tyrus, right, in the spirit is talking about the so-called white man. Thus saith the Lord God, because thine heart is lifted up. Now, the prince of Tyrus in context is these men that do trade, right? You have princes. Now, it isn't necessarily being called a prince. You don't necessarily have to have a name, right? Prince could be Satan. Prince, it's a title, right? The Lord is known as the Prince of Peace, right? So these men in context that did trade, that had all the abundance of delicacies upon the earth, right? In context, but in the spirit is talking about the so-called white man. Thus saith the Lord God, because thine heart is lifted up, and thou hast said, I am a God. But who says that they're a God? The so-called white man, man. The Lord has called us gods, right? In the book of Psalms, chapter 82 and verse 6. I have said that ye are gods. Then Yahweh Shah said, it is written in your law, ye are gods. We're the only gods of the earth. I sit in the seat of God in the midst of the seas, right? Meaning what? That's his throne, the midst of the seas, which are the nations. Yet thou art a man and not God, though thy set thine heart as the heart of God. And they set their heart as if they're the Most High, and everything that they push and that they do, right? Let me get one more through the spirit. I want to get the book of Job, right? Now, Leviathan is a physical creature that physically exists, but the attributes of his characteristics is also talking about the so-called white man, right? Let me get the book of Obadiah, chapter 41 and verse number 33. Upon earth is not his like. Meaning, who can make war with the so-called white man? That's in Revelations, the 13th chapter. It's saying the same thing in the spirit. This is the book of Revelation, right? Chapter 13, right? And I'm going to start at verse number 3. And I saw one of his heads as were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. And all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. And they worshiped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? That's the same thing in the spirit of what Job is saying. Upon earth, there is not like his like, man. Who is like the so-called white man on the left-hand side? Who has his military, his strength? Who has a mind to make atomic bombs? Whose mind and spirit is that evil and wicked? Who has this much power on the left-hand side? Who is made without fear? Meaning this man is made, right, not to fear the Most High in anything that he does, right? You would think that the affliction, the truth coming out, that he would have a remorseful, sorrowful, repentful-like spirit, but that's not dwelling within him. Behold, he beholdeth all high things. He is a king over all the children of pride. Who's the children of pride? The so-called white man. It says he beholdeth all high things. And he looks at the Most High. He looks at the angels. He looks at everything that's high upon the earth and wants to conquer it. He is a king over all the children of pride. So the Lord said, the pride of thy heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the cleft of the rocks. Now the clefts of the rocks are Mount Seir, but he also inhabiteth, right, the Caucasus Mountains of Georgia, Russia. Caucasus Mountains of Georgia, Russia. Right, now these are the Caucasus Mountains. Now Georgia, right, is a place within Russia where the so-called white man, right, inhabits also. Let me get this real fast. You have the Caucasus Mountains, hence the Caucasians. It says the Caucasus Mountains is a mountain range in the intersection of Asia and Europe, stretching between the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea, and they are surrounded by the Caucasus regions. That's where you get the name Caucasians from, right? White means pure, innocent, and godly. They're not white people, man. Their blood showeth forth through their skin. They are Caucasians because they inhabited the mountains. That's who they are. Let me get this real fast. Right? You got your mountain climbers. Now, who are your mountain climbers? The so-called white man. What is he doing up here? What will possess you to climb a mountain? Not just any mountain, but a mountain so high, so broad, so in depth that you can't even breathe up there. A mountain so high up that if you were to make one false slip or move, that would be your life. See, the complex of the so-called white man is to conquer all things. He wants to climb and make new feats and rule the earth. Well, we're not a people like this. The Lord said Jacob was a plain man, dwelling in the tents, while Esau was a man of the field. So these are your mountain climbers. These are your inhabitants of the mountains, the so-called white man. Right? It says, who dwelleth in the cleft of the rocks, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Right? And that's the same spirit, right, of an eagle. An eagle goes high up. An eagle's mentality is to go at the highest cliff, at the highest part, and dwell there that they may behold all that's upon the earth. It's the book of Job, chapter 39 and 27. Doeth the eagle mount up at thy command? No, he don't. He's prideful. He don't mount up when you tell him to mount up. You tell any other bird to mount up, they mount up. But an eagle is prideful. An eagle does what he wants to do. And maketh her nest on high. She dwelleth and inhabiteth on the rock, upon the crag of the rock, and the strong place. Because that's the spirit of the so-called white man, the eagle. From thence she seeketh the prey. And that's the so-called white man. He's always watching. He's always seeking how he can inhabit more lands, conquer more people. Right, let me get the mighty book of Habakkuk. This is the book of Habakkuk, right, chapter 2 and verse number 4. It says, behold, his soul which is lifted up is not aright in him through his pride, but the just shall live by his faith. Yet also, because he transgresseth by wine. The wine is doctrines, spirits that conquer you, get you drunk, and get you out of your clothes. The clothes are the garments in the spirit of the Most High, which he hath placed upon you through his wisdom. He gets you drunk and uncovers your nakedness, that he may defile you and commit spiritual fornication. He is a proud man, neither keepeth at home. Because the so-called white man, he's always in Iran, Afghanistan, right, Taiwan, right, Ukraine. He's all throughout the different parts of the earth, making allies, right, confederacies, treaties, robbing and murdering, who enlargeth his desires as hell. Meaning the rich man of the earth can never have enough, because it won't suffer him to sleep, like the scripture said in Ecclesiastes, the 5th chapter. And as is death, he cannot be satisfied. Why can't he be satisfied? Because he owns and has the earth. How can you make somebody, feel some type of way if they have everything? An honest man, a poor man, he works for something and he enjoys the fruits of his labor. That's in the book of Ecclesiastes, the 2nd chapter. This is a gift from Yahweh. Everything that you worked and labored for, you can enjoy your house. You can enjoy that food. But when you've stolen everything and have it for everything, you always have a complex to want more. Even his son Eliphaz, right, in the Hebrew, is my God is gold, Esau's son. So his God and his spirit is covetousness. But gather unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. So he heaps unto him all people, gathers all nations, and tries to inhabit all nations, saying, who's going to bring me down to the ground? Who's going to take my seat? Right? Let's go to the mighty book of Isaiah. Right? Isaiah chapter 47 and verse 1. It's Isaiah chapter 47 and 1. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground, there is no throne. So the throne, right, on a spiritual level, who shall take me down to the ground, is who's going to take me off the throne. But also, who shall take me down to the ground, right, is spiritual as well. I'm going to get this quick precept, right? Because only Yahushua can take him down to the ground, right? So, in the spirit, he's kind of boasting himself against the Lord. Right, let's go to the mighty book, right, of 2nd Esdras, chapter 11. Right, and I'm going to start at verse number 37. It says, and I behold, and lo, as it were a roaring lion chased out of the wood. And I saw that he sent out a man's voice unto the eagle and said, now the eagle, right, is the Roman Empire, the so-called white man. It says, hear thou, I will talk with thee, and the highest so saying to thee, art not thou as it remainest of the four beasts, whom I have made to reign in my world, and at the end of their times might come through them. And the fourth came and overcame all the beasts, right? The Roman Empire from 27 BC, right, all the way to the fall of the Roman Empire, the Western Roman Empire, right, 476, right, BC, till it was revised in the Eastern Roman Empire, right? It says around 1453, right, taken down by the Ottoman Empire. So you had the fourth beast to come up that were passed and had power over all the world, and great fearfulness, and over all, so like in who compassed of the earth with much wicked oppression, and so long times woke he upon the earth with deceit. For the earth hast thou not judged with truth, for thou hast afflicted the meek, and hast hurt the peaceable. Thou hast loved liars, and destroyed the dwellings of them that have brought forth fruit. To destroy the dwellings of them that have brought forth fruit are the Israelites. They have taken the land from the so-called, right, Native American Indians. They have raped and conquered all of the earth, and has cast down the walls of such as did thee no harm. The cast down the walls of such that did thee no harm is 70 AD, right? The so-called Jewish-Roman wars, which started 66 AD until the span where it was finished 70 AD. For which it can pass, right, over 5 weeks, right, and they try to take us down upon the Passover. So this was diligently sought out to take us down and to do us harm, to cast down our walls and do us much evil. Therefore is thy wrongdoing come up into the highest, and thy pride unto the mighty. Why do we keep reading about pride? The pride is the fourth beast. The pride is talking about Esau. It says, I'm gonna read verse 4. Thou exalted thyself as the eagle. Right now, I want to get this real fast through the spirit. Now you have the eagle of Zeus during the Greek Empire, where you had Zeus, and upon Zeus' arm was a big eagle. Right? And Zeus isn't a real man; he doesn't exist; he's an idol. But nevertheless, through Greek mythology, you had the eagle of Zeus. Now, the eagle of Zeus would give him power, strength, right, and authority. Let me get this real fast. This is the eagle of Zeus, so-called white man. And Zeus is the god of thunder and the god of the elements. It says Etios is one version, which childhood friend of Zeus, who kept him company while the god was hiding in Crete from his father. After Zeus became king, right, Hera turned Etios into an eagle out of fear that Zeus was in love with him. Zeus made an eagle of the most prominent, potent, and scared symbol. So this is a prominent and scared symbol, man. When people see the eagle, they have fear, but not the elect, not the strength, right, of God's chosen. But this is the symbol, right, in Greek mythology, Etios. You also have the Nazis. The Nazis, they had an eagle. Right, your Germans, they had an eagle. Every prominent empire of the so-called white man that throbbed and that conquered and that had all things and ruled all people, Symbolism was the eagle. And the Most High is putting it in their spirit to do that through the spirit, man. That it may be a sign over and over and over to show you that this man is the eagle. This man is high up on all. He feeds and watches and conquers from afar off. Then the Lord say in the book of Deuteronomy, as swift as an eagle flieth, a nation shall come up against you. You also have the Romans. Romans had an eagle. The Roman kingdom. So that's always been their emblem from centuries and centuries. You have the American eagle. So they have pride on the left-hand side and the eagle as their nation's emblem. Right? It says, but thou exaltest thyself as the eagle, meaning sit high upon all, thou not set thy nest amongst the stars. Now set thy nest is thy dwelling place. Your dwelling place is what? They inhabited the Georgia, right, mountains, the Caucasus Mountains, as well as Mount Seir. So their nest is really where you reside at, right? But spiritually, their nest is high things that are above. They're the only ones in aircraft. They're the only ones in planes. They're trying to inhabit and pierce the sky. They're trying to go throughout the firmament. They're trying to say that they've set their flag upon the moon, right, which is a lie. Right, and one thing that makes no sense with anybody that has understanding is the Lord said that, let me get this quick precept. If you believe that the so-called white man has been to the moon, then you got to get your spirit together. It's the book of Revelation, like Genesis chapter 1 and verse 14. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from times, right, and for seasons and for days and for years. Jump into verse 16. And God made two greater lights. The greater light to rule the day. Meaning the sun is so bright, it was created to lighten up the whole entire earth. The sun is so strong that it can light up the whole entire earth. And a lesser light to rule the night. Meaning the moon's light is so strong that in the nighttime, it lightens up on a lower level the entire earth. Even if somebody were to argue that they've been on the moon would be so bright, it would be impossible to set yourself there and to be taking pictures. Walking around it, seeing dust and particles, it's just madness. The more you learn of the Most High, the more you can eliminate folly and confusion. The more you know of the Most High, the more you can't be bewitched by the chief witch and warlock and wizard and sorcerer, man. And he has made the stars also. What are the stars? For navigation. The stars are for lights. To praise the Most High, like it says in Baruch, the 3rd chapter, right? For navigation, for times, and for seasons, and also for lights. Right? So this man, he sets his mind and his spirit to dwell on high. It says, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord. Right? Now, let me get this real fast. Now you have NASA. Now when NASA dwells and NASA's headquarters are in the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. Now for everybody that may think, the seat of the beast is, New York City through its wickedness, maybe Las Vegas, Nevada, right? Because it's Sin City or, maybe these different places. The most wickedest place in Babylon and the seat of the throne of the beast is no more than Washington, D.C. This is where your laws are made. It's where your Congress meetings are. It's where your legislative branch and all of ancient Roman emblems. If you've ever been to D.C., and a lot of people maybe watching this haven't been to D.C., but it's built like Rome. The Washington, D.C. is built like the Roman Empire. U.S. Treasury. Look how the U.S. Treasury looks. Tell me this doesn't favor Rome. Now, to all of the architectural work of the century that we living in now, all of the advanced technology, the cranes, the buildings, right? And all of your men, your mercenaries, and all of those men that do work, you telling me that the most prominent place of the United States America, where they write, do laws, and where the president stays, looks like that's from 27 BC. You think they doing this because they tripped and fell? No, they're doing it because it's saying that it's Rome all over again. It is Rome all over again. And you look at these other places, and we're not going to get to, pull too many of them up, but it's Rome all over again. It says, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord. If thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, right? And Salaki, real fast, I wanted to get this too. On set night nest amongst the stars, you have satellites. Now, these satellites don't go out of the earth like in these pictures, right? That's false. That's falsified information. That's a lie. You cannot crack the firmament, right? That is impossible. That's why the Lord said when you read the book, let me get this quick precept, right? And we're going to dive into it. When you actually go into the book of 2nd Esdras, right, the 13th chapter, right, it tells you that. Let's go to the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 13. This is 2nd Esdras, chapter 13, and I'm going to start at verse number 2. It says, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea that moved all the waves thereof. And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. And when he turned his countenance to look on all things, trembled that were seen under him. So if the Lord's coming descending, it says, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea that moved all the waves thereof. Because there are a firmament above the heavens. You have 3 heavens. You have where the Most High dwells. You have the firmament, where are the seas, and then you have where we're dwelling at right now, and above our heads, which is classified as a heaven as well. It says, and when he turned his countenance to look, all things trembled that were seen under him. So after waves and the sea was moved, he's descended and coming to earth. Letting you know you can't just go throughout the firmament, huh? That would literally mean that the rockets will have to swim through, and this, you will have to add into either what Esau is saying or the Most High is saying, which is off. It says, and when the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth felleth when it filleth the fire. Meaning they were getting judged and destroyed and burned with fire. And after this, I beheld, and lo, there was gathered right together a multitude of men out of number from the 4 winds of the heavens to subdue the man that came out of the sea. How did this man come out of the sea? He came out of the sea because he's coming from the 3rd heaven, letting you know you can't just come and pierce through out of the earth. You cannot do that. It's a big deal when the waves is moved and this man is coming out of the sea, and it's a big ordeal, right? It's a big deal that's going on, right? When you actually go into this. Now, going back to it, I want to go real fast to 2nd Esdras, chapter 4. Let me get one more precept on that. Right in verse 7. And he said unto me, if I should ask thee how great dwellings are in the midst of the sea, or how many springs in the beginning of the deep, or how many springs are above the firmament. So Uriel, the archangel, is confounding Esdras and the many knowledge that he doesn't know that's above his head. It says how many springs are above the firmament. Nobody knows. Nobody can say 55, 93, maybe 3,000. Nobody knows how many springs, how much the waters, how deep they are, how vast they are, how many springs are actually above the firmament, or which are the outer goings of paradise, right? So him going through, so-called, and placing satellites out of the earth would make no sense. But nevertheless, your satellites, they do pick up phones, computers, they watch. It connects to all technology and firmament, right, as it orbits around the earth, picking up all signals and dating them back to all their different alliances over the earth. 5 eyes, right, 7 eyes, 14 eyes, and all of these different alliances, right? It says this, if thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, How art thou cut off? What they not have stolen till they had enough? Now, in the ancient world, when you actually going into it, you have to leave grapes for the poor of the land. Right, let's go to the mighty book of Leviticus, the 19th chapter. That's how you keep a nation to thrive and continue, by showing mercy to the poor. We're the poor of the earth. James chapter 2 and verse 5. This is the book of Leviticus chapter 19 and 10. And thou shalt not glean thy vineyard, neither shalt thou gather every grape of thy vineyard. Thou shalt leave them for the poor and the stranger. I am the Lord. Why? Because if you glean all of the vineyards, it won't be enough food and grapes and vintage for the poor. Now the poor is without food and they're desolate. So the Most High always leaves a spirit for man to have mercy upon the poor. When you go to the mighty book of Deuteronomy, let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 23. You also can go through your neighbor's vineyard and pluck and eat of the grapes, nor as the disciples did the ears of corn. Right? This is the mighty book of Deuteronomy chapter 23 and verse number 24. And when thou comest into thy neighbor's vineyard, and thou mayest eat grapes, thy field at thy own pleasure. Meaning you just can't put a sickle to it and snatch it and take it all the way home and just rob your neighbor. But if you're walking through and you're hungry, you're on a long journey, nobody knows how far you came of a walk. Right? With fruit, there's water, and there's substance and nutrients. You're filling yourself up. But thou shalt not put any in thy vessel, right? Meaning a bag, that purse, like shackle that they will wear. When thou comest into stand corn, thou and thy neighbors, then thou mayest pluck the ears right with thy hand, but thou shalt not move a sickle unto thy neighbor standing corn. But Esau, he steals until he hasn't had enough, man, because he never has enough. If thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? What thou have not stolen till thou had enough? When you have enough, when you fill your bag, even though the Lord said don't fill it in your bag, it's going to show you how wicked and covetous this man is. He's not even supposed to have a bag to fill it up in the first place. But if you not have stolen till you had enough is to fulfill everything that you put a sickle to be able to carry away. But yet it's more voyages to carry more away and more away, till he has gleaned and stolen all of your vintage. If the grapes gatherers came unto thee, now grape gatherers, they appear by night, right? And you gather grapes at night, right? Let me see. Let me see if it'll come. Let me see. It may not. Okay. Grapes that are cooled naturally from nighttime temperatures also mean less energy in the winery. Let me see. From daytime. Let me see. Right? It says it is part of a worldwide practice that increasing the norm of harvesting grapes in the dead of night is a resort in better wine and lower energy costs and greater efficiency. So when you gather grapes, you're supposed to gather them at night. And that's spiritual. Because him gathering grapes and it being a nighttime we're supposed to gather them, it's a spirit along that. Now, a man that owns his own vintage like Noah, right? He may come at nighttime, whatever the case may be, where it's nice and cooled and it's gathered it up. He'll put a sickle, he'll make his wine, and he'll enjoy himself. But Esau, he gathers grapes that don't belong to him at night, meaning the darkness of night when nobody can see him. That's spiritual. Now, grapes also are a representation of the Israelites, right? We're classified as grapes. And the Most High has a vintage, which is the nation of Israel in Isaiah chapter 5 and 7, on a spiritual level. Right, let me get these quick precepts. Let's go to Isaiah. And he steals us, snatches us from our homes when we least expect it, and does evil till he hasn't had enough. This is the book of Isaiah 5 and 7. For the vineyard of the Lord of hosts is the house of Israel, and the men of Judah his pleasant plant. And he looked for judgment, but behold, oppression, and righteousness, but behold, they cry. All right, so his vintage and his vineyard is what? A vineyard is a vineyard. Vine is a grape. Let's go to the book, right, of Psalm. chapter 80. Now, what do, right, to the Lord's vineyard? They pluck up and steal all of the grapes, which are his people. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 80. And I'm going to start at verse number 13. It says, the boar out of the wood doeth waste it, and the wild beast of the field do devour it. Devour what? His vineyard. Return, we beseech thee, O Yahweh of hosts. Look down from heaven and behold and visit this vine. The vine yield the grapes. Who's treading it underfoot? These wild beasts, which are these nations. And the vineyard which thy right hand hath planted, and the branch that thou mayest strong for thyself, it is burnt with fire and cut down, and they perish at the rebuke of thy countenance. Let thy hand be upon the man of thy right hand, and upon the son of man, whom thou mayest strong for thyself. So will we go back from thee, quicken us, and we will call upon thy name. Turn us again, O Yahweh of hosts, and cause thy face to shine, and we shall be saved. So what do? Right? They trample underfoot all of the Lord's vineyard, stealing all of his grapes. Now, grapes are men. Let's go to Song of Solomon, the second chapter. The Song of Solomon, right? Chapter 2, and I'm going to start at verse, right, number 15. Take us the foxes, the little foxes that spoil the vines, for our vines have tender grapes. We're tender because we easily get offended. We easily get manipulated. We're small in strength. We don't have that many numbers. Why? Because we're spread abroad. It's not like you could go to Europe and see damn millions of Edomites. Can't really go nowhere and see millions and millions and by the hundreds of Israelites. We're scattered abroad. We're tender and weak, but they spoil it. What is a fox? An unclean creature. Yahweh Shai called, right, a Herod a fox, man. You go tell that fox, man. So these foxes are the wild beasts that creep forth at what? At night. Psalm chapter 104 and verse 20. The wild beasts creep forth at night. Let me go back to the mighty book of Obadiah. So robbers haven't had enough by night. That's spiritual. It's the mighty book of Obadiah, right? Chapter 1. And I'm going to start at verse number 5. If thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? If grape gatherers came unto thee, would they not leave some grapes? How are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? How, other than the Most High? Because we don't know the secret things that are actually going on upon the earth. Only the Most High does. Now you have something called the Bohemian Grove. Now that's been talked about for years. All of their secret councils, their sorcery, their witchcraft, animal sacrifice, blood drinking, right? Eating the flesh, and all of the evil things that they do there, man. Now, like, we're not going to read this whole thing, but the Bohemian Club is a private club, and active members of their guests may visit, right? And they have politicians. Why is it a private club where only the elite of the earth go, man? You have politicians, governors, and these type of men, they come. It says practicing during midsummer. Now, like I said, we're not going to read this whole thing, but the Bohemian Grove all-male membership includes artists, musicians, as well as many prominent business leaders. Why are only the elite of the earth welcome in the middle of the woods, man? What the hell is going on in there? You know how many places you could go up on the earth? How many springs and different oceans and climates and beautiful seas, the Pink Sea, the Black Sand Sea, right, on all of the clear waters. Go to the different parts of Fiji, go all of the different parts of Hawaii, right? But out of all places on the earth to meet, they meet in the middle of the woods at night. And it's only the elite. Government officials, former U.S. presidents, senior media exclusives, and people of power. So how are the hidden things of Esau sought up, man? All of the hidden things that they do, and the evils that they do, the sacrifices that they do. right? And I mean, brother, I mean, we've heard stories of the Bohemian Grove, man. Right, man on man sodomy, right, bestiality, right, all things to advance in power in this man's society, done in the public, in the open. Right? It says, let me read that again. How are the hidden things of Esau, right, sought up? Let's go to the mighty book of Jeremiah, chapter 49. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 49, and I'm going to read verse number 7. Well, matter of fact, I'm going to start at 10. It says, but I have made Esau bare. I have uncovered his secret parts. It's like his secret places. Now, his secret places are places where he has counsel, places where he does dark magic, secrets, and sorcery. He has uncovered the secret places that are upon the earth. There's certain places you can't even go and set your foot because they're restricted, or he doesn't allow you there, even on a physical level. And shall he not be able to hide himself? His seed is spoiled, and his brethren and his neighbors, and he is not. Let's go to the mighty book of Job, chapter 22, and verse number 5. It's Job chapter 22 and verse number 5, and it reads, is not thy wickedness great, and thy iniquities infinite? So his infinite amount of sorcery and evil is sought out by the Most High. Right? Because you may think you know Esau, and when Esau, he does this, he does that, he does. You have a long list of things that you feel like the so-called white man does, but the Most High said his iniquities are infinite. Meaning you can't number them. You think you know his evilness and his spirit, but it has no number of the evils which he has done, man. You have certain people that pop babies. Right? George Washington used to take the so-called slaves' teeth and use them as his own. They used to take skin off of the Israelites and wear your shoes. They used to be tanners. Tanners are your ancient men that would take beasts, right, and wool and hair and different things like that. They would tan the animals and they would wear them, right? Your leopard skins, all of these different things. Like you go out in the wild, you have your big sheep skins and all of these different things. You have your tanners. They would do that with human skin. They drink blood, right? It's really no telling how evil his wickedness is. That's why the Lord said it's infinite. Let's go to the book of Isaiah. Let me get one more precept on that. Isaiah chapter 47. It's Isaiah chapter 47, and I'm going to start at verse number 3, and it reads, thy nakedness shall be uncovered. Yea, thy shame shall be seen. Why thy nakedness? Because he forms some show as if he's a sheep, but inwardly he's a reveling wolf, man. Right? Doesn't it say that in the book of Revelation? Let me get Revelation chapter 13. Right, it's the book of Revelation chapter 13 and verse number 11. And I beheld another beast come up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. So he forms himself as a lamb, as an angel of light, as the president, your leader, your helper, your guider, your influencer. Right? He answers all your questions. He gives you all of your medicine. He helps you with every aspect of life, financially, spiritually, with Christianity, right? Mentally, right? With all of these different doctors and these men that you sit down and you have therapy with. He acts as if he's a lamb. But when you strip all of that off and take off all of those disguises, he's really a dragon, man. That's why the Lord said he would cast off the covering cast that he has cast upon all of the earth. Because he's fooled you. This is the book of Isaiah chapter 25 and 7. And he would destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all people. When he has cast a veil over all mankind, so that mankind can't really see the so-called white man for what he is. That's physical and that's spiritual. It's physical because he changed his name 17 times, man. 55 times he has changed his name. Everybody else didn't change their name. The so-called white man has changed their name. They all know their ancient roots. You may ask some of these old Moabites and some of these old, Japhites and some of these old Canaanites, they actually know who they are. Yeah, I descend from Ham. Yeah, I'm Cush. You could kind of talk to them. They know what's going on. but he has casted a veil over all nations, that they may start to forget who they are and be Americans, that they may cast him over the so-called black man, for him to actually think that he's a Negro, for you to actually think that he's an African American. And not only that, but that you can't see him for who he actually is. And the veil that is spread over all nations. So he has a veil of deceit spread over all nations that are upon the face of this earth. All the men of thy confederacy. What does a confederacy mean? A confederacy is an alliance. Right? Let me get that real fast. A confederacy is an alliance. It says all the men of thy confederacy. Now, a confederacy is an alliance and or pledge or a league. So all the men of their league, who are in their alliance or who are in their league, that's going to. Right? And Salaki, I wanted to bring this out too. That's a spirit that all of the hidden things are sought out of Esau. Right? It's actually documented. Channel 8 News and other viable sources, all throughout, that in Chuck E. Cheese's, it was a lot of satanic things going on in the basement in their dungeons. And you have to watch where your kids play too, man. It's a lot of sorcerers, and it's a lot of kidnappers and lusters and pedophiles that hang around these places. I believe it was a movie. I don't know if it's coming out or it came out. It was about a man. He used to go to these pools, and he used to watch for children. Let me see if I can find it real fast. I'm not sure how to really go into it or how to pronounce what I'm trying to pull up. There it is right here. It says quick clip from the amazing movie Little Children with Rodney. I think this is it. Little Children film. Let me see. Yeah, this is it. Right, and it said they had to get their kids out the pool because it was somebody, a grown man, that would just hang around the pools watching all of the kids. Getting off, touching them, grabbing them, groping them, diving under, playing with their toes, coming up, wiping their face off. Right, sitting up there throwing a ball. Right, so a little kid kind of get the ball. I know he kind of look back. He going like this. Next thing you know, you turn your head. You do a couple text messages. He playing with your son, man. He gaining his trust. He grooming him. Right? So you got to watch these people, man. Right? And I haven't seen this movie. I just seen a preview of it. It was a sick preview. I don't know if it's going to come up.
He should be castrated. Quick and clean. Just chop it off. And you wouldn't.
So they're looking at this man that's a sick man.
You know what else you should do? Nail his penis above the entrance to the elementary school. As a warning to other perverts. You think this is funny? I just can't believe you want to castrate a man for indecent exposure.
There you go, right there.
Oh no.
And he just playing in the water, watching the kid.
It's him.
Oh, Jesus.
Look at him just playing with the kids.
He's in the pool.
Oh, my God.
Oh my God. That's him. Why is everyone running to the pool? Look! Dale! You better get over here!
Creep.
Why the police is here?
Mr. Garvey, you advise me to get out of the pool at this time.
Step out of the pool, sir.
I was only trying to cool off.
All right, let's go.
See that? So, it says police find satanic ritual dungeon in Chuck E. Cheese's basement. Right? So they have a lot of sonograms and different things where they do worship. And sorcery is real. So it's a reason why when you're a child and or sometimes when you're an adult, you get a weird feeling when you watch a scary movie, or you get a weird feeling when the lights go out, or that's a spirit, right? This is the condemnation. That light is coming to the world, and men love darkness rather than light because their deeds were evil. That don't mean you be afraid of the dark. I mean, we have the spirit of the Most High, not to fear anything, but it's a spirit in darkness. It's a spirit of being candles being lit and blood, and these things have a spirit behind it. It says police find satanic ritual dungeon in Chuck E. Cheese basement, right? Let me see. Charge in the death of the owner of the 68-year-old Mel Wallace, and another woman being charged with accessory to the murders. Right? It says this. Court documents allege Wallace regularly performed satanic rituals, animal sacrifices in Chuck E. Cheese basement where the bodies were found, and the basement's dungeon where the bodies were discovered, full of mold, garbage, debris, animal feces, as several satanic marks. Police say that the children were more likely abducted from the Family Fun Center. Now, guess what? This is from Channel or Now 8 News. I'm surprised they even showed this. How many things aren't shown? How many rapings and false kidnappings and things that are not documented by the news? You think the news is going to show you everything? What if the news showed you as much as they found out, man? People wouldn't come outside anymore. They wouldn't go to Chuck E. Cheese anymore. Or they wouldn't go to certain grocery stores anymore, certain gas stations anymore. They would stop and quit some of the jobs that they're working on. If you actually knew the evilness of the things that are going on upon this earth and the secret things that are searched out by the Most High that you don't know, you might lose your mind, man. We don't know the in-depthness of slavery. We only know what we have been showed and what we can imagine. We don't know the in-depthness of sorcery. We only can imagine and see what we have read through the scriptures and or was showed upon us. It says, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to thy border. Right? Meaning what? He have brought you to their territories. Right? A border is a territory in the Hebrew, and a confederacy means an alliance. The men that were at peace with thee. Who are the men that were at peace in the Confederates of Esau, his alliance? You have the top 10 allies, the United Kingdom, right? Canada, Australia, Israel, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, Ireland, and the Republic of South Korea, right? These are so-called America's allies, which are not a lot. And a lot of them don't have a vast military, power like the enemies of the United States. Iran is known for getting busy with bombs and military. So is Syria and Iran and Afghanistan, right? You got your dragons of Arabia. You got Russia, right, which is your vastest army that ever exists upon the face of this earth. Libya, which is an alliance of Russia, right? This is going to happen in the last days. Somalia, Pakistan, and Palestine, right? Those are, and also you have North Korea. Okay, North Korea is number one. Right? You have North Korea. Now, all of the men that were your allies are going to deceive you. So there are already 10 plus men of Slovakia nations, right, that hate America. And not only that are going to bomb you with fire. The Lord said your allies and your confederacies. The United Kingdom and your NATO is going to turn on America. And all of its allies as well is going to turn on America. And America is going to be by itself desolate, getting ready for nuclear fire to be burned. And everybody's going to turn against America. Let's get Revelation chapter 17 and verse number 16. It says, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore. The whore is America, right? Those 10 horns, right, are your European Union, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. That's what Obadiah is prophesying about. Have deceived thee, right? Those that are at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee, meaning have destroyed you. So Esau is going to destroy Esau, right? Let me get a quick precept That's why when Yahushua rides into Egypt, right, as the scriptures say in the book of Isaiah, the Egyptians are going to be set against the Egyptians. That's not your physical Egyptians. Your physical Egyptians aren't going to be set against the physical Egyptians. It's just talking about nation of Esau. It's the book of Isaiah chapter 19 and verse number 2. And I will set the Egyptians against Egyptians, meaning all Edomite empires and nations are going to war and fight against another and have division. It says, and they shall fight everyone against his brother and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, kingdom against kingdom. Why is it kingdom against kingdom if they're all Egyptians? The Egyptians only have one kingdom. They're a country in Africa, letting you know that the Egyptians is bigger than just the physical Egyptians. It's talking about empires. It's talking about kingdoms. The kingdoms is Russia going against America, going against parts of the EU, right? Going against all of Ukraine. All of these different countries are going to be fighting and breaking that brotherly peace that they once had of their neighboring allies. It says they shall eat, they that eat thy bread. Eat thy bread is an old ancient way of break bread. Eat that, it's a very spiritual thing to eat, right? That's why when you break bread, like the Lord said, they that have eaten of my my bread have deceived me. Paraphrasing extremely greatly in the book of Psalms chapter 41. Let me go to Psalms chapter 41 real fast. It's the book of Psalms chapter 41 in verse number 9. And my own familiar friend in whom I trusted, which did eat of my bread. And you don't let anybody just come over your house, man. It got to be a man's, right? And it can't be just your man's. You bring anybody to your house back in the day, your mother tell you that ain't the one. I don't like him. I remember back in the day, I went over my man's house. Me and my man was knit. You know, I knew him since I was like 5. And we was teenagers. And it was a couple of us, we kind of came over his house. And I went upstairs because I could go upstairs in his house. I go in his refrigerator. His mom used to leave. She said, lock up the house. Right type deal. Like I said, we was brothers. But when we came over, I remember his mother kind of called them up. I went up there too. She was like, man, who are these people in my house? She was kind of getting on him. She said, I don't like him. I don't like him. He not welcome. Don't bring him over no more. Yeah, they ain't the ones. And his mom was right, man. Right? Because those type of people try to get you to do evil, overthrow you. They're really not for you. Like the Lord said, let not every man into thine house. For the deceitful man have many trains, meaning many deceits. Right? So if you eating at somebody's table and breaking bread with them, how much more the Passover, man? Lord said don't eat with every man in the book of 1 Corinthians, the 5th chapter, verse 11 all the way down. So you got to take that and apply that. That's spiritual. And you don't eat bread with every man spiritually either. The bread is Yahushua. And if you were to eat that and read and go over precepts with every and anybody, you'll pervert your understanding and your judgment. So eating bread is spiritual, right? It's showing how one you are and the spirit that y'all in. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. Meaning that old night tip where a lot of America has had counsels with. The UN meetings that they have shooken hands with. They have traded secrets with. They have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. Meaning what? There's no integrity. There's no truth. There's no godliness. There's no understanding to reason with him. Now, you can't reason with an animal, man. Can't reason with a brute beast. There's no understanding in him. Right, let me get this quick precept. That's why the Lord said they're prevailed against thee, right? And they're going to get chased out of the earth. Who was going to chase them out of the earth? Well, we are on one fold, but they're going to get chased from their borders. That's why the Lord said in the beginning of that verse, says, all men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. Border is a territory. Let me get that real fast. Border are your territories, enclosed within boundaries, regions, and territory. So the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to thy border. Right? They're going to get chased out of lands. Right? All hell is going to be breaking loose with these wars. They're going to be invading lands. and chased out of lands. That's why the navigation of people in the last days, that's why I say you may end up in Florida somewhere, man. You may end up in Arkansas or different parts of Atlanta. You're going to be a pilgrim on the earth. And so these nations chased out of their boundaries and their territories as well, right, through wars. You think those Americans that go overseas to fight in these wars are ever going to come back home when you know what hits the fan and all hell really starts breaking loose? And these war helicopter drones and these men and these missiles and these submarine tanks, they're going to be trying to survive. Men are going to change their habitation even in these nations in war. And they're going to be migrating and warring, and all hell is going to be breaking loose. And so-called civilians, right? This is the book of Job, chapter 18 and 18. He shall drive them from light into darkness. Because there's the illuministic ones on the left-hand side. And chased out of the world. So they're going to be chased from their borders and or chased from their power seats and the things that they have, right? It says, shall not in thy day, saith the Lord, even destroy the wise men out of Edom. Now your wise men out of Edom are like your Timianites. But on a level of wisdom of this world, on the left-hand side, you have your Germans, Swiss, right? These are your wise men of Esau, right? Let me get this real fast. You know, also, like I had this pulled up. Countries that join NATO and their alliances, who's going to turn against them, right? But it says, Army General and physicists help usher in the atomic age. Now you have a man called J. Robbins Oppenheimer, which was one of the first men that created the atomic bomb. Now, you have to have a lot of wisdom of this world and on the left-hand side to create a bomb that can waste the whole country. These are your scientists. These are your wise men of Esau, right? It says in October 9, 1941, President Franklin D. Roosevelt approved the development of the atomic bomb, partly out of intelligence reported by the Nazi Germans. These are your Germans that came up with the atomic bomb, which was a blueprint for everyone to image and mock after, that they may create the waster to destroy. Might inquire the first one. Roosevelt, who chose the army to lead the project, as that service had much experience majoring large-scale construction projects. In 1942, Groves was appointed the director of ultra-secret Manhattan Project. All right, check that out. The code name for the vast effort to produce the bomb. Let's look that up real fast. The ultra-secret Manhattan Project. See, if this wasn't documented on Google, how would we have this information? You think the average Negro is searching things up, man? Reading any books? Gives a damn about anything? No. How much more, right? All of the things in the last days the Most High said prevalent to show you that you have to dive into, man. They used to have the Library of Alexandria in the ancient world. We used to hold over, I believe, 7,000 scrolls of books that you had to go up to inquire from and read of these ancient scrolls. Well, let me get that real fast before I dive into that. The Library of Alexandria. Right? Now, Alexandria was in Egypt. That's why which gets the fake doctrines that when the Lord fled into Egypt when he was young and he came out and he kind of studied under the Egyptian. I mean, it's a lot of Egyptology that's kind of mixed in with worldly accolades. It says the great library of Alexandria, Egypt, was one of the largest, most significant libraries of the ancient world. Because libraries is like an ancient thing now. You don't really go to the library. You got Google, you got Amazon. I mean, at a snap of a finger, you can get what you need. And the library is part of a large research institution, right, called the Muskian, which was dedicated to the Musk, right, the Muskis, 9 goddesses of the arts, right? It says the idea of the universal library in Alexandria might have been proposed by Demetrius, right, of Parliament, right? And we're not going to read too much, but says how many scrolls were housed at any given time. The estimated range was from 40,000 to 400,000 at its height. That's how many scrolls were found in this house, right? On its library, rather, shall we say. So it was a hard thing to gain wisdom in the ancient world. But now you have articles and things kind of written. Not a Manhattan Project. Check that out. The Manhattan Project was a research and development program undertaken during World War II, like the Second World War, to produce the first nuclear weapons. So this was a council. They all came together, these development of men, and they started to jot down architectural elements and works and different arcaniums and iron and how are we going to do this? What are we going to use? Led by the United States in collaboration with the United Kingdom and Canada from 1942, right, to 1946, the project was directed by Major General Leslie Groves. Check that out. Of the United States Corps of Engineers. So they even have a branch of the United States of engineers. These are your wise men of Esau. Nuclear physicians. J. Robert Oppenheimer was the director of the Los Alamos Laboratory. So they had a laboratory. Project Y. The laboratory. This was a secret laboratory. How much else is secret? What else are they building? What don't you know? This is now being revealed, right? Years and years and years later, man. Established by the Manhattan Project, was operated by the University of California. So they getting the University of California. They getting different U.S. branches and engineers, right? J. Oppenheimer, right? Project Y. No, this is a real big deal, and the secrets and the things of Esau that's being sought out at your wise men, right? Let me get this quick precept. Let's go to Jeremiah. Chapter 49 and verse 7. And it reads, concerning Edom, thus saith the Lord of hosts, is wisdom no more in Teman? Because Teman is your wise men out of Esau. Is counsel perished from the prudent? Is their wisdom vanished? Flee, ye turn back, dwellers deep, and inhabitants of Teman. For I will bring the calamity of Esau upon him in the time that I will visit him. Meaning there's no more secret wisdom and evil conjuring up things that you could make, right? They're going to stop the Lord from punishing you and destroying you. Shall I not in that day, saith the Lord, even destroy the wise men out of Edom? Why the wise men? Because the wise men could create underground bunkers, missiles, right? Their intelligence on the left-hand side could somewhat fool the men to think that they can always be safe and dwell from generation to generation. It says, and thy mighty men, O Teman, shall be dismayed, meaning confounded and perplexed, to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. Now, you have a lot of men that believe that these things have already happened. Or you have a lot of wicked men that think that, you know, these precepts and prophetic breakdowns have already came to pass, right? But you have your men that are called Preterism, right? So like if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but you have Preterism. Now, this means that is a Christian, right, ecological view or belief that interprets some partial, right, Preterism or all the full Preterism prophecies of the Bible as events what have already been fulfilled in history. So you have certain men that believe in prophecy and prophetic wisdom of the Bible, and then you have these type of men that believe everything that is written in the Bible has already happened. Obadiah has been fulfilled. Revelation has been fulfilled. Why hasn't it? John went to the island of Patmos, right? That was all the way from 90 to 95 AD. That was already after the Roman persecutions. These wars and these things that were already talked about have already came to pass. You already had the 7 churches actually existed, right, in Turkey, and all of these things were fulfilled, and it all came to pass. Because during the Roman persecutions, during the Roman time, you link this up with history, and they're going into this word, not understanding the power of the Most High. Now, under this belief, it says, as even which have already been fulfilled in history. Now, this is only prevalent and acceptable when it's against you. But yet, the Most High didn't come back yet. That's a part of prophecy. Through Yahushua. Yahushua didn't destroy all of the wicked. That didn't come to pass yet. Yahushua didn't redeem you. That didn't come to pass yet. But you want to have certain things already be fulfilled when it's against certain nations. That's hypocrisy. If all of that is the truth of what you're saying in this belief of that type of understanding, then Yahushua would have already came back. Who are you to go inside of the Bible and pick and choose what has came to pass and what hasn't came to pass if you aren't a prophet of the Most High? That's only for prophets to go inside of the Bible, to diligently inquire, make inquisition, and determine the matter. That's why the Lord says, study thyself to be approved. A true workman, rightly dividing the word of truth, that shall not be ashamed, paraphrasing greatly. Meaning a true workmaster is going to rightly divide the word of truth, meaning go inside of it to make sure that whatever the doctrine is the truth. It says the school of thought interprets the book of Daniel as referring to events that happened from the 7th century. So don't get caught up in Preterism. This could overthrow your mentality in the scriptures too. You have a lot of Christian apologists, liars, Christians right on the left-hand side, and just evil seducers and sorcerers that will try to manipulate this book and tell you that don't fear, or this came to pass, or the book that's so violent. I mean, that happened in the ancient world. And love, I mean, what about the New Testament? And they'll seduce you and give you lies until the 1st century. Now they say everything was fulfilled, right, leading up to the destruction of 70 AD in Jerusalem. The book of Revelations, as well as Christian predictions within the olive discourse, right, the olive prophecy, which is going into all of the gospel passages as events that happened in the 1st century. Preterism holds that ancient Israel finds of the continuation of fulfillment, and the Christian church as the destruction of Jerusalem in 70 AD. You telling me everything came to pass? Everything? That's why the spirit of the prophets is subject to the prophets, man. And you have no business touching this book. Well, let me get this precept. It's the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 4 and verse number 32. And the spirits of the prophets are subject to the prophets, man. Meaning whoever can understand this book 1,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, are the same men that it was given as that heavenly gift to understand it in the days that come in the past and the days that are going to be before us, man. And after us, we're subject to the same prophets, man. Right? Let me go back to it. So I brought that out to show you that people said that this already came to pass during the Maccabees. That's kind of a doctrine, that this thing kind of came to pass already during the time of Maccabees when we cut off the Greeks. But Greeks don't make up all of Esau. Greeks are a branch of men out of Esau's lineage. Even with that understanding, you could chop that up to pieces. You still have the Roman Empire and all of these different empires, right, that were around during that time and after that time. You understand? It says, for thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. What does it mean, shame shall cover you, man? What is that going into? That the shame is going to cover you. When all of your atrocities, your murders are going to be led up to be judged, man. When you're in a judgment seat and you're looking down at somebody and you have a long list, which is history, these accounts of all the things that they did, shame is going to cover them when they finally hear how wicked and all the accounts of the things that's going to happen, man. They're going to get judged. That's on one fold. But the shame covering you too is the destruction, and that you can't take it back. That's why when Esau, he sold his birthright, what did he do? He cried out. He wept. and shame covered him, man. Let me get that real fast. Now he wanted his birthright back. Now he wanted to go back in time. Now he wanted to mend things which you can't mend anymore. It's the mighty book, right, of Genesis, chapter 27. And I'm going to start at verse number 38. And Esau said unto his father, hast thou but one blessing? My father, bless me, even me also. Right? Isaac isn't just giving out blessings, man. Right? Salaki. Right? He isn't just giving out blessings. Bless me, even me also, my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. Why did he weep? Because he secretly wanted the power that came with the blessing. He didn't weep because he wasn't accepted in his father's eyes anymore. He didn't weep because he disappointed the Most High. He didn't weep because he was sorrowful and his spirit vexed him until the point of repentance. He was weeping because the power he didn't possess anymore and the inheritance of owning things. It says, and Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth. And that's exactly what it was. He got blessed, but it was on the left-hand side. And the dew of heaven from above. Now, the dew is a very small drop of condensation that will bring forth on a cup or whatever the case may be. I don't know if you can see this, the condensation. Maybe, maybe not. Right? But nevertheless, that's the dew that will be placed upon a branch or placed upon a leaf, while Israel has the early and the latter rain. It says, by thy sword thou shalt live and serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion that thou shalt break his yoke right from off thy neck. This is the point. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. Man. So that was always in his heart from the very beginning from now. So that shame is going to cover him. And the day that thou stoodest on the other side, and the day that strangers carried away his forces and foreigners entered into his gates and cast lots upon Jerusalem, even thou was as one of them. Huh? Right? What is that talking about? That's talking about during the time at the siege of Babylon, right? When Nebuchadnezzar II, he came in, took away, destroyed, and put captive our kings, right? Our princes, right? And our forces, snatched them all away. What did Esau do during that time? Esau celebrated. Not only did Esau celebrate, but Esau actually took the men that tried to flee, right? When that siege was going in, he stood in a part of the way. He trapped men and delivered them up to the Babylonians, man. That's evil. You had nothing to do with the siege. You didn't need even to be around the siege and or say or do any action, but you helped further afflict the children of Israel, stood on the other side of our forces as our temples and all our things were burnt down with fire. And what did you do? You celebrated. That's why when you go to the book of Psalms, it says, race it, even to the foundation thereof. Why? Because they were celebrating during the siege of Jerusalem. Huh? When children were getting dashed to pieces, when our kings were getting taken down, when chains was being brought out, what were the Edomites doing? They were having a field day. But that's a just balance because we have a field day remembering your forefather, man, Nicanor, man. We'll remember your head getting chopped off, your hand getting chopped off, it being waved before the sun. And we celebrate. So we're arch enemies from the foundation of the earth, man. There's nothing to talk about. There's nothing to mend. There's nothing you could give us. Right? We want it back in blood. Reparations are in blood, man. This is the book of Psalms chapter 137 and verse number 7. I'm going to start at 1 to get the context. By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down, yea, we wept when we remembered Zion. When we were carried over to Babylon, we sat down at the rivers and wept, remembering Israel. We hanged our harps upon the willows. A willow is a weeping tree. Our harps are our joy and song and dance. That's what a harp represents. That's why when you read the book of 2nd Esdras, right, chapter 10, right, it goes into our song, our dance, our fun, and all that we had was taken down. Right, let me get that real fast. It's the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 10, verse 22. Our upholstery is laid on the ground. What do you do with upholstery? You dance with it. You play with it. Our song is put to silence. Our rejoicing is at an end. The light of our candlestick is put out. The ark of our covenant is spoiled. The holy things are defiled. And the name that is called upon us are almost profane. Our children are put to shame, and our priests are burned, and our Levites are gone into captivity. The virgins are defiled, our wives ravished, our righteous men carried away, our little ones destroyed, our young men brought into bondage, and our strong men have become weak. So that upholstery is that dance we used to dance and praise the Most High with. We hang them up upon willows, which are weeping trees, and in the midst thereof. For they that carried us away, right, required of us a song, talking about the Babylonians. And they which wasted us required of us mirth, saying, sing unto us one of the Zion songs, right? Because we used to have songs which we sung unto the Lord, right? Exodus, the 15th chapter, right? We had many songs that we sung, and we praised the Most High. Verse 4, how long shall we sing the Lord's song in a strange land? If I forget thee, O Jerusalem, let my right hand forget her cunning. Your right hand is your hand of strength, which you do action with. You grab and you lay hold on things. Your right hand forget her cunning. Her cunning is her wit, her understanding, her form. Your right hand also is what? Your right hand side. It says, if I do not remember thee, let my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth. And if I prefer not Jerusalem over my chief joy. Check this out. Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom, in the day of Jerusalem. The day of Jerusalem is the siege. Who said, race it. Race it means destroy. Race it even to the foundation thereof. So while we were getting burned with fire, right, during the siege in 587, right, BC, they were standing afar off celebrating. Not just one Edomite, not just 15 Edomites, not just 3,000 Edomites, but all of Edom were celebrating the downfall of Israel. Right, from the dates from 589 to 587, which was one of the sieges. Right, let me go back to it. It says, race it even to the foundation thereof, O daughter of Babylon, who art to be destroyed. Happy shall he be that reward of thee as thou hast served us. Right, thou hast served us in an evil way. Happy shall he be that taketh and dasheth thy little ones against the stones. Let's go to the book of 1 Esdras chapter 1. This showed the spirit of Esau when the Babylonians came in. It's the spirit of Esau. This is the book of 1 Esdras chapter 4 verse 35. Thou also hast vowed to build up the temple which the Edomites burned when Judea was made desolate by the Chaldees. So after things were already burnt down with the siege, the Edomites burned it down even more. That's evil. Like, I don't want anything left. Let's burn it all with fire. Let's continue to destroy, manipulate, and further the affliction. Let's go to the book of Zechariah, chapter 1. So they have to be judged not only for their vehement hatred for the children of Israel, not only for trying to kill and pursue us from the foundation of the earth, but for furthering the affliction and burning down, right, our places. This is the book of Zechariah, chapter 1, and verse 15. It says, I'm going to start at, this whole thing is fire. I'm going to start at 14. So the angel that communed with me said unto me, cry thou, saying, thus saith the Lord of hosts, I am jealous of Jerusalem and for Zion with a great jealousy. I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease. For I was but a little displeased, and they helped forward the affliction. Meaning we got judged, but it got pushed even more. We're already in America getting judged, but guess what? We're judged even more by the Moabites, like the Canaanites, other these strange nations that had no part really going into the transatlantic slave trade to further the affliction. They're just furthering it, destroying it even more. When you go to the mighty book of 2 Kings, right, the 25th chapter, you go about the siege and the destruction even more, right, by Esau, right? This is the mighty book 2 Kings chapter 25. I'm going to start at 9. It says, and he burned the house of the Lord and the king's house and all the houses of Jerusalem, and every great man's house burned he with fire. So when Nebuchadnezzar was burning these things down, he was burning all things with fire and further the affliction. What were they doing? They were celebrating, clapping, dancing, being mirthful. They were probably drinking wine, getting drunk, popping animals, man. Doing all type of strange rejoicings. That's why it says, going back to it, Salaki, bear with me. I believe we were at verse 11. It says, and in that day that thou stoodest on the other side, the other territory watching, the flames going up, in that day that the strangers, which are the Babylonians, carried away captives his forces are his kings, right? The queen, the king's mother, the princes, right, of all of the army, and or the chief noblemen of strength, right, and left the poor of the land, and the foreigners entered into his gates. His gates are his strength. That's the king's palaces and the king's places, and cast lots upon Jerusalem, what to take what and what territory, even thou was as one of them. So they have the same judgment and the same condemnation as those men that burned down Jerusalem with fire. But thou shouldest not look on the day of thy brother in the day that he became a stranger. We became a stranger because why? We were pilgrims, man. Some of us lived here, some of us lived there, and we were vagabond and walking around and didn't inhabit our land anymore. We became strange to Babylon and strangers in it. Neither shouldest thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction. Neither shouldest thou have spoken proudly in the day of his distress. Right? And nobody knows the proud things he spoke. Only the Most High. They probably said all praises Hashatan, man. They probably praised their forefathers, right? That took us down and had war with us. God knows the evilness of speaking proudly in that day with that meant. Right? Took down the Jews, celebrating, laughing, speaking proudly in the day of our distress. Thou shouldest not have entered into the gate of my people. That's off. So after we got taken down, destroyed, Esau furthered the affliction and entered into our gates. And in the day of their calamity. Yeah, that's like somebody getting robbed, man. Right? This is making me mad. It's like somebody getting robbed. Right? Somebody got robbed. They looted their house. And you watched it. You celebrated. You looked at with goggles. You called people on the phone. You was eating candy. You got off. Right? And then after it's desolate, you go inside of it, man. You take whatever's left. Not only do you take whatever's left, whoever was around that tried to escape, you try to take them and deliver them up to our enemies. That's like that good Samaritan spirit of the earth where a police, kind of chased somebody down and somebody kind of got away and somebody took zip ties as a civilian and tried to lock them up, right, and give them back to the police. Right? You're not a police officer. This doesn't discern you. It says, thou shouldest not have entered into the gate of my people in the day of their calamity. Yea, thou shouldest not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity. So they stole. They stole things that were left of Nebuchadnezzar. Because when you spoil a temple, right, Nebuchadnezzar II is rich. Okay, he's not. If you rob a bank, I mean, if $5 is on the ground, you got out of there because you got the lump sum. Right? If you robbing a piggy bank or whatever the case may be, you snatching all of the coins and 5 of them are falling, you may not go back, man. Because you have the lump sum. Whatever was left of our riches, our spoils, and the things that we have gathered from other nations of war, and or laid up from the widows and the fatherless of our treasuries, and or the things the Most High has given us, right through our nation, presented to the Levites to put in storehouses, or whatever the case may be, of things that pertain unto us, what did they do? They laid hands on our substance, meaning they robbed us. They stole, they wiped it clean, man. The thief. It says, neither shouldest thou have stood on the crossway to cut off those that did escape, man. That's evil. Let somebody in slavery that got away, master chasing them, the dogs barking, right? They put all type of mud to hide their scent. They dwelling in the swamps. They breathing upward. They slept that way after it stood in that position for over 7 hours. They wiped it off. The dogs went home. They don't have any light nor candle. They're looking at the stars. They're trying to make their way to the north. All of these things going on, and then you see somebody, you know what? Grabbed you up, tied you down, and brought you right back to your plantation, man. Neither shouldest thou have stood on the crossway. The crossway don't pertain unto you. You should have minded your business. You also had the Moabites and the different other nations, right? Let me get this quick precept in 2 Kings chapter 25. But Esau was the only one that was pressed to do that. Let's go to 2 Kings chapter 25. In verse number 1. And it came to pass in the 9th year of his reign, in the 10th month, in the 10th day of the month, that Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came, he and all his hosts, against Jerusalem, right, to besiege it, and pitched against it, and they brought forts against it round about, meaning they besieged it from all angles. And the cities was besieged until the 11th year of King Zedekiah. And on the 9th month, on the 4th month, the famine prevailed, right, in the city, and there was no bread for the people in the land. So as all this was going on, they were getting besieged and all hell was breaking loose. Now, let me get this quick precept. In 2 Kings 24, in the days of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came up, Jehoiakim became his servant 3 years, and he turned and rebelled against them. It's the point. And the Lord sent against them the band of the Chaldees, the bands of the Syrians, the bands of the Moabites, and the bands of the Ammon, right? Ammon, and sent them against Judah to destroy it, according to the word of the Lord, which he spoken by his servants, the prophets. So where's the account of the Syrians, the Ammonites, the Moabites, and all of these other nations doing the same thing Esau did, celebrating, taking the men that were trying to escape captive, bringing them back, spoiling our good? It is not written, man. So Esau minded things that didn't pertain to him. The Lord put the spirit in these nations to come up against us. He just had it in his spirit to further afflict us. It just shows the hatred and how evil he is. Yet the Lord put it in the spirit for them to leave their land and come. You know, this account is written because it was already foretold by the servants of the prophets. But then you had this account. It says, neither shouldest thou have delivered up. So the Lord's even telling you shouldn't have did this. This don't even pertain unto you. I didn't set this for you to do in prophecy for this to happen. The spirit of anger and evil and vengeance and hatred is so prevalent in you that you took upon your own self-will to do this. Those at this, his that did remain in the day of distress. For the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen. Right? Meaning what? The day of Yahweh's vengeance is upon all the inhabitants of the earth. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. What as thou hast done? When we tried to escape, you chased us down. We're going to chase you down. We have to. This literally happened. You entered into our forces and you took the things that didn't belong to you. We have to, by prophecy, enter into your forces and take the things that don't belong unto us, which rightfully do belong unto us, man. We have to celebrate over you being destroyed. That may be a day in the kingdom. We have to celebrate, right? Saying race it and destroy it and celebrate in the day of your distress. We have to. That's written. It says, thy reward shall be upon thine own head. Meaning whatever you have done, you have to take accountability and own up to the judgments that the Most High is giving you. As for, ye have drunk upon my holy mountain. Drunk upon my holy mountain is an old term of enjoy upon God's substance. The holy mountain is Jerusalem. Drunk meaning have taken and enjoyed and had mirth in it. so shall all the heathen drink continually. Meaning you're going to drink of another cup, and it's going to be a vengeance. Yeah, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they have not been. All right, let me get this quick precept. Let's go to 2 Kings chapter 25 and 15. Slock, is that what I want? Slock, bear with me. Let me see what I want. Slock, I want Jeremiah. That's what I want. Jeremiah 25 and 15. It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 25 and verse number 15, and it reads, "But thus saith the Lord God of Israel unto me, take the wine cup of this fury at my hand, and cause all nations to whom I send thee to drink it." So, yeah, they're going to drink, but this time it's not going to be the stolen riches and the mirth. They're going to drink the wine of the fierce wrath of the Most High. The Lord said, "For thus saith the Lord God of Israel unto me, take the wine cup of this fury at my hand, and cause all nations to whom I send thee to drink it." Meaning the Lord is going to give each nation their portion of destruction, right, as it is written. Right, let me get another quick precept right through the Spirit in the book, right, of Isaiah, right, chapter 49 and 23, right, and it reads, I'm going to start at 26. "And I will feed them that oppress thee with their own flesh, and they shall be drunken with their own blood." That's what the Lord is going to give them, the fierce wine of his wrath, as sweet wine. "And all flesh shall know that I am the Lord, am thy Savior, and thy Redeemer, and a mighty one of Jacob." Let me get one more in the book of Psalms, right? Chapter 75. Right, it's the book of Psalms, chapter 75. And I'm going to start at verse number 8. "For in the hand of the Lord there is a cup, and the wine is red, and it is full of mixture, and is poured out of the same, but the dregs thereof and all the wicked of the earth shall wring them out and drink them." Man. So the Lord got that cup. We got a cup on the right-hand side of affliction that we all have to drink. But then we're going to have a cup in the kingdom, right, of mirth. But they're going to have a cup of destruction and vengeance. Right? It says, but upon Mount Sinai, right, which is Jerusalem, the Lord's throne, shall be deliverance. There shall be holiness. Because when Yahushua comes back, he's coming to Jerusalem. That's where he's going to set his throne. "And the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions." Their possessions are really talking about the nations. It's talking about the nations, it's talking about the land, and it's talking about the substance of the earth. Right, let me get this quick precept in the book of Zephaniah chapter 3, and I'm going to start. This whole thing is fire. I'm going to start at verse number 17. So this whole thing is fire. I'm going to start at 18. It says, "I will gather them that are sorrowful in the solemn assembly, who are of thee, to whom of the reproach of it was a burden. Behold, at that time I will undo all that afflict thee, and I will save her that halteth, and gather her that was driven out, and I will get them praise and fame in every land." And then everybody's going to be rightfully praised. Right now, Jake kind of getting praised right now on a lower level. Right? Bow down and kiss the boot. Right? "I'm sorry for the sins of my forefathers." Right? They may get something small. Right? Or whatever the case may be. Or they may clap it up for LeBron James coming into the arena. Right? That's the praise and the fame on a low level. But you're still a captive and you're still a slave. The praise you're going to get in the kingdom is being a joint heir with Yahushua. Think how men are going to reverence Yahushua, be scared and fear Yahushua, and praise Yahushua. That's written that all nations are going to come and worship before him, man. All nations, not just Israel. Everybody's going to praise Yahushua. The Moabites, right? They're going to say the Lord's name. You're going to have to whoop them and whoop them and whoop them and beat them and take that slimy language out of them and make them say it in the Hebrew and make them talk like they ought to talk, man. Because I don't want to hear that thing. I don't want to hear that no more, man. Right? All your Arabians, right? Your slick tongue and the wicked way you speak. All that's getting beaten out, man. Right? They're going to have to praise you in the Hebrew, and they're going to bow down before your feet. And all nations are going to have a tributary where they're going to bring you presents. And they're going to bring Yahweh Shai presents. Right? That's in, let me get that real fast. All nations are going to just serve you, man, and give and freely give. If you know anything about wars and reading the text, when you read kings and things, all kingdoms that took down another kingdom gave tributary. You have to do that. That's prevalent in taking down a kingdom. Let me get this real fast. Right? This is the mighty book of Psalms chapter 72 and verse, right, number 9. I'm going to start at 8. He shall have dominion from sea to sea and from river unto the ends of the earth. They that dwell in the wilderness shall bow before him, and his enemies shall lick the dust. It's the point. The kings of Tarshish and of the isles shall bring presents. The kings of Sheba shall offer gifts. Yea, all kings shall fall down before him. All nations shall serve him. That's serving him with presents, gifts. Because everything isn't going to yield from Jerusalem. Right? I mean, the Lord put different, parts of gold in different places, like Hilvala, like when you read the book of Genesis, and there are different natural resources that yield from this land and this part, and from this mountain or whatever case may be. These nations are going to have their portion that we govern over them. Everybody's not going to live in Jerusalem. As we govern our kings over cities and regions, we're going to have to bring up all their resources, and then we have to present them right before the kings, man. Right? When I say the kings, I mean all of Israel. Right? We have our rightful king, Yahushua, but we're kings and priests. Like the Lord said he made us in the book of Revelation 1 and 5. They have made us kings and priests. So we're going to bring up, right, these gifts, right, from these nations, and we're going to present them and have the substance of the earth. Because work is going to have to be prevalent in the kingdom, right? These nations are going to have to continue to work. Then they have to continue to pick grapes, continue to dig out gold and natural resources, continue to do the things that needs to be groomed from the earth. The earth needs to be groomed and kept. Right? Like the Lord said, he had put a man in a garden and he have not kept it. Right? That don't mean he rolled up his sleeves and got some ground up. Right? But on a spiritual level, he took care of the men and set order. But spiritually, you have to keep the earth too. Right? But let me go back to it. It says, and there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions. And the house of Jacob should be a fire. Now, the house of Jacob, right, is your Jews. And the house of Jophis, right, your northern kingdom, a flame. And the house of Esau for stubble. And they shall kindle in them and devour them. And there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord has spoken. Letting you know that this prophecy still exists, because the Lord said in Ecclesiastes, the 4th chapter, there is no end to all the people. There are no end to all of the nations. Meaning from the time the Lord created the nations upon the earth till now, nobody went extinct. There is no end of all the people. Meaning everybody still exists. The Edomites, the Moabites, the Ammonites, even of all that have been before them. Meaning nobody has been extinct on the earth. They also that come after them shall not rejoice in them. Surely this is vanity and vexation of spirit. But there is a nation that the Lord said will go extinct. Extinct means they never exist anymore. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 45 and 17. Right? Salaki, that's not what I want. Bear with me. (43 and 17). Let me get this quick precept in Isaiah chapter 43 and 17. It's Isaiah chapter 43 and verse 17, right? And it reads, which bringeth forth the chariot and horse, the army and power. They shall lie down together. They shall not rise. They are extinct. They are quenched as the toad, man. So the Lord is saying that they're going to be extinct, man. They're not going to exist anymore. Letting you know that this is a prophetic book and it still is coming to pass. Let's get that definition. Vanished, lost, dried up, dead, no longer existed. So they're the only nation prophesied to never exist anymore through the hand of the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. Now, how that's going to happen, only the Most High knows. It's not in depthly written how we're going to destroy them. Are we going to all come together, have a feast day, we bind them all up and we burn them with fire? If we put them in a pit, we burn them with fire. Right after a certain amount of time, the Most High going to say, destroy all of your possession and take, every man in his possession, all his slaves, his descendants, and your house, kill them. Right? Nobody knows the in-depthness of how this is going to happen, man. But through the hand of Jacob, it's going to come to pass. It says, and they of the south, right, shall possess the mount of Esau. Now, when you're going into this, it's going into their inheritance and their possessions. Because after you destroy Esau, his inheritance and his land has to be divvied out. Because every portion of every nation has a land that the Most High gave them. Right? When you go to Genesis, the 10th chapter, the table of nations, verse 5 all the way down, the Lord gave everybody their inheritance. Now it says they of the south. They of the south is talking about the southern part of Israel. Right? You have, right, the southern cities of the ancient map. Right? You have Ashdod, Alumium, right? Ashkelon, Ashdod, right? These are your southern cities, or what they would call Philistine, right? If you make this curve from Gaza all the way to Ashdod, right? From around Lachish and Eglon all the way to Gigar, all the way from this curve will be parts, right, of the south that is going into, right? I want to kind of look at that even more if we could. Right, let's go into it. See if we could dive up. If there's anything a little bit more clearer. Right, you have the north. Right, Philistine states, like it says. Or people might call it Philistine or whatever case may be, which is this curve I was just going into. Right, it's this curve. Right, from Ashdod to Gaza. You have the kingdom of Judah from Beersheba. Right. You have Galilee all the way at the top, and in the middle, you have Samaria, right? In the middle of the lands, Jericho, and coming into the kingdom of Judah. So from Philistine, right, it's classified as the south, right? When you're going into it on an ancient biblical map. And they of the south shall possess the mount of Esau. The mount of Esau isn't necessarily talking about the people, because more of Israelites in the south are going to inhabit all of Esau. It's going more in their land and their habitation and their portion, because everybody has a portion that the Most High gave them. Also, the land of the south is also going into Nevar, right, on a biblical map also. Right, I want to kind of pull that up too. Right, Negev, a desert in southern Israel. It's mentioned several times, right, in the Hebrew, right, a dry land. That's also your south, right, going back into Nagar and parts of Ashdod, Gilad, right now, parts of Philistine, that strip in that area. So the Lord's divvying out the land of Esau, his inheritance, everything he has. He's splitting it up by portion in that latter end of Obadiah. Who's going to inherit what? How are they going to inherit it? What lands from Canaanite all the way to Zephyrah, or whatever the case may be, in all of these different places, right? So there's no confusion. His land is already given to us. His portions and spots and things that he possessed, or were given rather, is all ready to be given, right? Going into that desert, right? Let me go back to it. It says, they of the south shall possess the mount of Esau, and they of the plain of the Philistines, right, shall possess the fields of Ephraim, right? Now, I want to get a quick precept too, just to show the different portions have to be divvied out. Now, when the land, you had the conquest of Joshua, we took all of the land, right, of the Canaanites. But when you go to war and the law in Numbers chapter 26 and around 53, right? I'm going to start at 53. And unto these land shall be divided for an inheritance. So a land always has to be divided, meaning Israel is going to get the inheritance by dividing throughout the tribes, according to the number of the names. To many thou shalt give the more the inheritance, to the few thou shalt give the less inheritance. To every one shall his inheritance be given according to those that were numbered of him. Check that out. Notwithstanding, the land shall be divided by lot according to the names of the tribes of their fathers, right? They shall inherit it, right? That's what it's going into, right? Let's go back to it, right? That's why it says they of the plain of the Philistines, right? The plain of the Philistines is around Judah. That's the plain. The plain is that area around the Philistines, right? Around the Philistines will be the south. We just went into it. This is the plain around Philistine. So that plain will be talking about Judah. Those are the people that it's talking about as you keep reading in this verse. It says, and they of the plain, which is Judah, shall possess the fields of Ephraim and the fields of Samaria, and Benjamin shall possess Gilead. So it's showing who's possessing what at that time as it's going into the whole possession of us taking down Esau. And the captive, it's like the captivity of the host of the children of Israel shall possess that of the Canaanites. Possess that of the Canaanites because we already possess that which is of the Canaanites. That which is of the Canaanites is going into all of our inheritance that the Lord promised Abraham. Right? When you read the book of Genesis, chapter 15, verse 18, all the way down. But we're going to possess Canaanite or Canaan from Canaan all the way to, it says, Zephyrah, which I believe is the latter end stretching to the part of Ethiopia. Right, let me get this real fast. I'm trying to do too much at the same time. All right, let me get this quick precept in Genesis. In the same day, the Lord made a covenant with Abraham, saying, right, and to thy seed have I given this land, even from the river of Egypt into the great river of Euphrates. Right, so from a landmass stretching to another landmass will be given this portion, right? So it says, I'm going to get this real fast in the Hebrew. I think I already had it pulled up. It says, Zethrath, which is one part of Canaan stretching to the other. Instead, this is a place where Amos met to defeat the Ethiopians under Zethra in 2 Chronicles 14 and 10. It is said to be Mashra, no name resembling has been recovered there, possibly before the Septuagint, rendering its right. The ravening north Maris in the case of battle may have been fought, right? So let me see. That landmass is going into it around this region right here. If you can see this, right here, Valley of Zethra. That's why you got to get into geography as well, Right? You don't want to just scream Esau, 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 death to Esau, right? And not understand as much as you can of the scriptures. Geography is very prevalent. You have to go inside of it. It says, and the captivity of Jerusalem, which is in Shethrath, shall possess the cities of the south. Right, I'm going to pull that up real fast, just for edification. Or it's another good precept. Salaki, another good map or part you can look at as well. From Joppa all the way to Gaza, going into Philistine in that strip. And they inhabiting the south, which is Judah, will be that region. And stretching to the end of our territory. Right? Let's look that up. It says, as a place of a captivity of a certain captive of Jerusalem, but no clear indication is given of location, right? It says, right, Salaki, bear with me. Bible map. All right, so it's saying this place is spanning all the way from Sardius to Philadelphia, right? But nevertheless, going back to Obadiah, it says, and the captivity of Jerusalem, which is in Shaphan, shall possess the cities of the south. So when it's going into this, it's really going into them that are spread abroad coming back from the captivity. So you have us that are in Africa, you have us that are in Europe, you have us that are in South America, you have us that are in North America. Is this saying from this region, from this portion of that captivity that's returning back, shall possess the cities of the south, going where we were coming from? And saviors shall come up on Mount Zion. Now the saviors is talking about the Israelites. We are classified also as saviors. We saviors because why? We are the children of Israel, right? And being the children of Israel, you have many men that were saviors in the scriptures, man. Right? Let me get this quick precept in the book of Judges, man. See if I can pull this quick precept up in Judges. I might just have to go through it and look real fast. Bear with me. It's the mighty book of Judges. I'm going to go to the 3rd chapter. It's the mighty book of Judges, the 3rd chapter. And I'm going to start at verse number 27. Now Ehud, right, he freed the children of Israel and helped the children of Israel during the captivity, right, of the Moabites. I'm going to start at 27. And it came to pass when he was come that he blew a trumpet in the mountain of Ephraim, and the children of Israel went down from him into the mount, right, he before them. And he said unto them, follow after me, for the Lord have delivered your enemies, the Moabites, into your hand. And they went down from him and took the fords of Jordan toward Moab, and suffered not a man to pass over. And they slew Moab at that time about 10,000 men, all lusty, all and men of valor, and there escaped not a man. So Moab was subdued that day under the hand of Israel, and the land had rest, right, 80 years. So the Lord delivered the children of Israel, right? And he had Ehud. You also had Atheniel, Right? You had many men that were classified, right, in the scriptures, right, going into it as the saviors. It says, in the judgment, an amount of Esau, and the kingdom shall be the Lord's. So the saviors are your elect. They're going to really be the saviors on another fold, on a deeper fold. They're going to be the elect. Right? You're going to have the government of Israel. They're going to have to judge all of Mount Esau. Let's go to the mighty book of Matthew, chapter 19. It's the book of Matthew, chapter 19. And I'm going to start around 29. I'm going to start at 28. And Yahweh shall say unto them, verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me in the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye shall also sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. So they're going to be judges of the earth. You have the thrones of David that set judgments. You're going to have the 12. They're going to sit on thrones. They're going to be judges, right? But you have to judge Esau. Why? Because that's the revenger of blood. That's the law of the revenger of blood. You have to be judged because we're the ones that were taken down. So we have to avenge by that same man that took us down. Let me get this real fast. It's the book, right, of, let me see where I want to start. Matter of fact, I'm going to get the account in Numbers. It's Numbers chapter 35, and I'm going to start at I'm going to start at 15. It says, 6 cities shall thou be for a refuge, both for the children of Israel and for the stranger and for the sojourner among them, that every one that killeth any person unaware may flee thither. And if he might smite him with an instrument of iron, so that he died, he is a murderer, and the murderer shall be put to death. Now, nobody knows the in-depthness how Cain slayed Abel, but it says he slayed him. Then he had to hit him with an instrument. So it says, and Cain and Abel was Jacob and Esau all over again. So the first murder recorded in the Bible has yet to be justified, nor brought to trial, nor is there any sense of judgment taking place. And if he smite him with a throwing a stone, so these is different things of how the avenger, right, of blood himself may slay the murderer. Right, jumping down to 19. The avenger of blood himself shall slay the murderer. So you will have to be a victim of these crimes to be able to lay charge, judge the mount of Esau. When he meeteth him, he shall slay him. But if he thrust him of hatred, or hurtle him at any by lying of weight, that he die, or in the enmity smite him with his hand, that he die, he that smote him shall surely be put to death. For he is a murderer, the revenger of blood shall slay the murderer when he meeteth him. So nobody could rise up and have our back nor slay Esau in the stead of the victims that were slayed by Esau. Right, jumping down, right, all the way to verse 32. And ye shall take no satisfaction for him that is fleed to the city of his refuge, that he should come again to dwell in the land until the death of the priests, so that they shall not pollute the land wherein ye are. For blood defileth the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. Check that out, man. And that's spiritual. So the land can't be cleansed unless the blood of him that shed that land is shed upon that land to cleanse that land. That's why we're going to have to kill Esau, hunt Esau from all these different parts of the earth, slay his blood, take him before the king. All these different things have to happen, right, in the last days. And Savior shall come up upon the Mount of Zion to judge the Mount of Esau, because we're the truthful judges of the earth. And we're going to judge him for all of his crimes, his lies, and the atrocities and the things that we have done upon the earth. Because judgment has to take place. You have to charge somebody. What are you going to charge them with? The laws. That's why the Lord said, let me get this quick precept in the book of Exodus. Right, this is the book of Exodus, chapter 21 and verse, right, number 16. And he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death. It's just one of many things that Esau has done that he has to be destroyed and killed and held to judgment. So we're going to judge him out of the laws of the Lord, which he does not know. We're going to have to charge him. And with these charges, by being set, you understand, by our government and the throne and coming together to judge him, we're going to slay him and murder him. And then there's going to be no more an amount of Esau. So right before he's destroyed and killed, right, we're going to have to judge him. He's going to get judged by the Most High in that day. He's going to get indefinitely judged again when he's utterly wiped off the face of this earth. But this is the mighty book of Obadiah. Most High willing, it was edifying through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Right, I'm about to bring out this last closing verse through the spirit. It's the book of Revelation, right, chapter 3 and verse number 2. Be watchful and strengthen the things which remain that are ready to die, for I have not found thy works perfect before God. Remember therefore how thou hast received and heard, and hold fast and repent. If therefore thou shalt not watch, I will come in thee as a thief, and thou shalt not know what hour I will come upon thee. So continue to keep watch, and watch for all the things that are happening upon the earth, the alliances that's being formed, right? The pestilences, the food famines, right? Watch for your spirit, take care of your families, make your body a living sacrifice, continue to work hard, have integrity, be diligent, and do all things to magnify Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Shalom.